Welcome to Home Sweet Home.
First down, Saints!
A New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Caesars New Orleans.
Hakeem drops the ball! Hakeem drops the ball! Brian Milne might have fallen on it at the 10-yard line!
You gotta be kidding me!
It is the New Orleans Saints football! There is a God after all!
Join us as we celebrate 50 years of cheers, tears, and celebrations we'll never forget on our home turf.
Look out, right through! A pick block by Steve Gleason. It is scooped and scored by Curtis DeLoach. Touchdown, New Orleans!
Hear from the players that made those unforgettable moments and those who were there to tell the story.
Snap, placement, kick by Hartley, and it is good! It's good! It's good! Pigs have flown! Hell is frozen over! The Saints are on their way to the Super Bowl!
Taking us on this half-century journey are your hosts, John DeShazier and Gus Kattengell.
The Saints win!
Welcome to Home Sweet Home, a New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Caesars New Orleans. John DeShazier, NewOrleansSaints.com, and Gus Kattengell with you. 50 years. The New Orleans Saints have called the Caesars Superdome home. We're there on Porgers and John DeShazier, NewOrleansSaints.com. Gus Kattengell with you. There's so many games you can choose from, so many moments, magical moments, historical moments, emotional moments. And then you got a game like this. Not one, not two. I'm going to go LeBron here for you. Not three, not four, not five. 6 touchdowns by running back Alvin Kamara, December 30th, 2020. Saints beat the Vikings 52-33. He rushed for 155 yards, setting an NFL or tying an NFL record for 6 touchdowns in a game at that time. The win clinched, by the way, the 4th straight NFC South title. In a nutshell, the definition of success in that era and that time with Sean and the team doing what they're doing. But, dude, 6 touchdowns?
He was in the zone. I bet you Alvin could have played that game in a suit and tie because his offensive line kept him so clean. And he knew what to do with it. He's one of those guys who, I've always said, I can't think of many players with a better nose for the end zone than Alvin Kamara. Now, he's the leading touchdown scorer in franchise history. I get that. So it's kind of obvious. But he's a guy who, when he gets inside the 5 or 10, he just knows how to get there. He can get strong when he needs to. He can get skinny when he needs to. He can be athletic if he needs to. He's one of those guys, it's hard to get him off his feet. He's got great balance. And so I think he's a lot stronger than you really think, because Alvin Kamara does not have a bevy of 50-yard touchdown runs. And in that game, I don't know what his longest touchdown run was, but it wasn't, I don't think it was 50. He just kept getting in position. The offense kept getting in position to where, hey, let's give it to him and let's get him another one. Let's get him another one. Let's get him another one. Because the Vikings couldn't keep him out. There was nothing at a certain point. There wasn't a whole lot the Vikings could do about it. You knew that when the Saints got in position, they were going to give it to Alvin Kamara, and he was going to score. And the Vikings were kind of like helpless to do anything about it.
I think what's interesting, we're going to hear from Alvin Kamara about that game and what he recalls from it. But it's something that when you and I sat down and talked about that game that you wanted to bring up, you're like, yes, he did it, no doubt. And you talk about the nose for the end zone. My man had some lanes. He had some running room. Terron Armstead sits down with us to talk about that game, and he remembers it. And you know what? We've heard it from Drew. We've heard it from a lot of greats. The recall that he has about that game, and for him to speak about how he also felt like in the zone, that's something that really stood out to me.
Terron was the bodyguard. He was the bouncer. He was Kevin Costner. I mean, he was the guy who said, throw it, give it to him. Alvin, run behind me. I'll get you where you want to go. I'll get you to the end. If you run behind me, I'll get you to the end zone. And he did. He did in the kind of ways that, there are some plays in that game where, they're not the top 5 plays or top 10 plays in franchise history, but they are memorable plays just from the standpoint of the physical domination that he exacted on an opponent. And it was like, this is a man against boys. This is in the backyard against your kids, and you're just shoving them around. It was that kind of domination.
Here's our conversation with Alvin Kamara and Terron Armstead. All right, as we continue to take a look back at some of the greatest games in the Caesars Superdome, one of them has to be John DeShazier, Saints.com, when Alvin Kamara went LeBron James. He went not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 touchdowns in the game. And I just remember watching that game, and it felt like Madden, like the video game, man. When you look back at that game, what do you remember?
Well, I mean, the thing you remember is, Alvin's one of those dudes who it's always been difficult to get him off his feet. And that day it was difficult to keep him not only off his feet, but out of the end zone. And of course, it being Christmas Day, the Christmas Day cleats that I think he got fined for wearing those. But the NFL also took those cleats because it was a record-breaking game, and they put them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's very NFL, isn't it?
Yeah. So figure that one out. We're gonna fine you, but we want the cleats. So but it was one of those things. The red and green cleats obviously stood out, and of course just the magnitude of it, because after a while you kind of lose count, and then you're like, well, how many does he have? And then before you know it, it's like, okay, well, what's the NFL record? And then when he gets to that point, it's like, oh my goodness, we're seeing something that you've only seen once or twice in NFL history. And so that's the kind of thing that really jumps off for you.
Well, he spent 9 seasons with the New Orleans Saints, and who better to have a front row view of that game and a lot of the big moments in the Caesars Superdome. And Mr. Terron Armstead, sir, thank you for joining us today to kind of take a look back. First off, man, how are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks for inviting me on, guys.
For sure. So I guess we'll start with that. We'll kind of have a little fun with it while we have you here. But John remembers the cleats. What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, I love, this is definitely one of my favorite games of my career. So I love talking about this game. Anytime people bring up AK 6 touchdown game, I'm all in, because this is one of the best games of my career, like my personal performance. So he was balling. He had a historic day. I feel like I was balling over there at left tackle. You know what I mean? I had some viral blocks. So we really didn't even know AK. I think we found out AK he was stacking up the touchdowns on the 5th one. Because before that, we just playing. We really had no idea that he was getting to 5, 6. You know what I mean? When he scored the 5th one, that's when you could see him do like the count as a celebration. Because before that, we had no idea.
Well, this wasn't just one of your best games. One of the things we remember obviously is you were like the bouncer in the club. But I think in addition to AK, I think the team nominated you for NFC Offensive Player of the Week that week because of what you did. And the block that I'm reminded of is when you were the bouncer in the club. You almost escorted the dude to the actual stands. You almost threw him in the front row. You escorted him past the bench, all the way over to like the wall. Yeah. And it was like, well, hold on, Terron. He there's nothing else he can do. But you took my man for a ride. What were some of the blocks that really jumped out for you in that game?
Yeah, that's one of the ones for sure. I think I pulled around on a toss, and I got my hands on a corner.
Yeah.
And the craziest part, JD, and it pissed me off so bad, is that there was a guy working in the Superdome, but he's facing the stands. They're not allowed to watch the game. Uh-huh. So as I'm driving the guy, and I'm looking past like his helmet, I see the guy that's working, and he's not able to get out the way because I wanted to take him to the wall. I don't know why. Like I just blacked out or whatever, but I wanted to run him into the wall. I felt like that would have just been like, part of the moment.
Look, that's one of the best, cleanest, and best blocks you will ever see. Because I mean, it was like Terron, he's gonna take this. I mean, once you got past the bench, it was like, okay, this not gonna stop.
Yeah, for sure. He wouldn't just go down either. He kept trying to backpedal. So I'm literally sprinting with him. And if the guy would have got out the way, casualty.
Yeah, yeah, he'd have been in the wall. So now when Alvin, as you said, when you get to five, I guess that's when everybody starts counting. But as it's going, in this building, what's the thought when he gets the first one, second one, third one? I mean, are you guys at all keeping count because it got to accumulating pretty quick?
Yeah, no, we're not, man. We're not. I don't think we was paying attention to it at all. We just trying to score every time we touch the ball. We wanted to finish the season strong offensively going into the playoffs. Defense had some stellar performances. They was locking up the Bucks time and time again. So we wanted to get going and kind of light up the scoreboard as we headed into the playoffs. So we really had no idea about the touchdown count. Sean didn't know either because I know Taysom had one that if that was AKs, it would have really, having 7 touchdowns. But like I say, we wasn't paying any attention to that. We just trying to score every time we touch the ball.
You've been a part of a couple of NFL record type games, whether it's Drew and the touchdown record or now Alvin with that. What was it like to block for a dude like Alvin? Because he's he's not the biggest dude, he's not the fastest dude, he's not the shiftiest dude, but he's got a combination of all that stuff to where again he was always like a cat. It was hard to get that dude off his feet.
Yeah. He's easy to block for him for real, man. He don't need much daylight. He don't need much push. Like you don't have to get too crazy with AK. AK just want to be able to trust you. He don't want to be able to like when he touch the ball, he got people in his face. He don't want that. So if he get it, he can get the ball and get 2 steps down. That's really all my dog asking for. Like he is very easy to block for. He communicates with his O-line really well. And I had got to the point like, of course, I was in the league for some years before he got there. So me and him got to the point to where like he really trusted me when I told him this is going to be outside, this is going to be inside, this is going to be a cutback, like before the snap, just based on the alignment and how they was playing blocks. So, man, we had really just it was such a flow.
Do you remember your NFL start? Because your NFL start is really one of the I don't want to say stranger things in Saints history, but 2013, you're a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
I think you guys get to, I guess it's game, 14 to 15. I can't remember. I know it's in St. Louis, and I know it's December 15. And I don't want to I don't want to throw nobody to the curb, so I won't even mention the other guy's name. But I know that in that particular game, Drew was sacked 4 times. He was hit a lot. And you ain't come in and substitute at left tackle, a rookie, hadn't played a whole lot. And Sean Payton, after the game, basically said, look, I'd seen enough. And that was the exact quote. I'd seen enough, and you start the next week in Carolina. Do you flash back to that at all? Do you remember that? Because we didn't know if you were ready to play. I guess nobody knows if you're ready to play until you play. But from then on, that was your spot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember vividly, man. The time in St. Louis, it was one of the few games that I was active. So I was there. I had shoulder pads helmet on. I'm ready to go. As far as I know, like I think I'm ready to go. And Robert Quinn is going off. He's having a very impressive game. Charles Brown was kind of struggling with his ability to bend. So Charles was starting off with a good set, but once they made contact, Robert Quinn was able to like speed his feet and bend, and he was getting to Drew quite a bit. So we get to halftime, and I'm thinking I'm going in. You know what I mean? Like I'm getting ready. I'm stretching the halftime, and Sean come in and he moved straight from right tackle to left tackle. And I think he put Bryce Harris in at right tackle, and they finished the game. Robert Quinn, he still was having a day, whatever. And yeah, that next day, probably Monday, Sean called me up to his office and he's like, it's time. It's time. You've been working. You've been working behind the scenes, putting the work in after practice, before practice. It's time. Like the job is yours and just go do your thing. So go prepare. Like get out. All right, bet. Leave the office. I contain myself. I ain't show no emotion or none. I just try to lock in and get to work.
Was it like one of those scenes in the movie where you get in the car though and you kind of start screaming a little bit, pounding that steering wheel, kind of doing all that stuff? I mean, right? You get the call up, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's interesting. Sure. It's interesting to hear you kind of talk about. You saw what was going on, what was going wrong, right? You talked about bending and feet being able to get under you. I enjoyed listening to you talk to JD about that game with AK or even with Drew Brees and what it's like to block. In hoops, when someone's in a zone, right? They say that the rim looks like it's 15 feet wide, right? We hear quarterbacks talk about the zone when the game slows down and everyone looks wide open. Running backs, and just kind of get the sense and feel. What's it like for an offensive lineman to be in the zone? Is it like, do you feel like you have stamina? Do you feel faster than me? Describe to me, because you're being very specific on that. So you're showing, I guess, that football IQ that fans loved and got to see. What's a zone like an offensive lineman? Because like JD said, I'm thinking of the 6 TD games, but people clearly saw what you guys were doing, specifically you on the field blocking. I would say you were in a zone, right? So what's a zone for an offensive lineman?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't think I've ever been asked this question either. And it's like I would assume it's similar to a shooter, a 3-point shooter, where you feel like the rim is as big as the ocean, or a quarterback where he just feel like he's seeing everything before it happens. It's similar. It's similar. I've been into that zone, and I've come off to the sideline like, yo, I'm hot. Like, it's nothing he can do to beat me. Nothing. I'm having my way out here, like, and it's just it's a great feeling. You confident. You bouncing around the sideline. I'm telling Sean what to run, what I want to run. You know what I mean? Hey, call this. Coach is gonna work. You know what I mean? You get into that zone. Yeah, you feel that energy, especially when y'all moving the ball efficiently. Y'all getting first downs and converting touchdowns in the red zone. I ain't never really thought about it like that, but definitely that I'm in the zone feeling it's a great place to be.
When you told him what to call, did he call it?
My later years, Sean he rocked with me. He let me call some plays. He'll suggest some plays. Yeah, he would. He'll come ask me like, what you think? What we looking at right now? All right, yeah.
It's interesting because we're talking about that game back on December 30th, 2020, and it was 52-33 to final. But when I'm looking at the box score, it's 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, a touchdown in the second for AK. Then it's a touchdown in the third, 2 in the fourth. It's kind of to your point when you think of the heyday and when the Saints offense was flowing or was in the zone like you were talking about, Terron. It was just so efficient. You look up and all of a sudden you start looking at the numbers. JD, I bet you probably remember looking at them like, they had what? How many yards? Because it just kind of seemed in the flow of the game. And I remember Drew, when he would talk to us in the media, it's, 10 play drives. That's the goal. 10 to 15 play drives. Take the quarter. And it was almost a matriculation, yet it was an accumulation of yardage and offense, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, we had a great flow at that time, to where we was operating very efficiently. We had brought in a couple other weapons too to help spread the ball, not just Mike Thomas, and you know what I mean? So like I say, at the end of that season, we really wanted to start to hit our stride, because I think we had a couple games where we didn't score. Like, the offense it wasn't looking how we wanted it to look. And then that game, I had recently saw that game too. I didn't realize Minnesota scored that much. So like every point that we had, all them touchdowns that AK got, like we actually needed them. It wasn't like we was padding stats.
Yeah, but it was also, you guys had to feel pretty unstoppable in that, because it got to the point where we kind of felt like, you're watching the game and it almost felt like every time Alvin touches it, he gonna score.
Yeah. No better feeling as an offensive lineman. Like, once you get not even just offensive lineman, as an offense, when you can run the ball at will, you control the game. You were extremely confident. Like, when you can line up at any time you want, you go get 4 yards, and that's really all you're looking for. You feel great about that game.
Now you can admit it now, because you're pretty much retired. Was Minnesota a broken team that day? Because they looked whipped. I don't know what it looks. They looked like, man, we can't stop these dudes. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, no, and it played a little bit of a part too, that it was Minnesota, because we didn't like them dudes. You know what I mean? We had a Minnesota Miracle, all that. So like that played a little bit of a factor too. Like, we want to get them out the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting to your point, man. And you mentioned at the very beginning, and I think it kind of goes into with so many of these games that we're looking back on, that were in, that era where this team won Super Bowls. It was a perennial playoff team that helped clinch the 4th straight NFC South title. We almost kind of, look back at it now and maybe took it for granted, man, where, you know, you look at the schedule and it comes out and you're like, okay, you circle this game's for first place in the NFC, or this, you know, it's like, it was almost assumed you guys are going to win a division and do that. Is that, when you look back at it now, as time's kind of going a little bit, to make you appreciate even more games like that, moments like that of going, man, I mean, you look up in this, all those banners that you guys just kept won. Y'all were division title winner, and that was the 4th straight division winner.
Yeah, man, I've been, you know, since I retired April 5th, man, I just been in a zone of reflection. Like, I've been in a period of reflection and just looking back at my career, from the wins, losses, the records, injuries, plays made, plays missed, you know what I mean? I've just been reflecting and just so grateful for every moment, you know what I mean? Because it's made me who I am, it's built my story and my legacy as I continue to go and continue to work. It's man, I wouldn't change anything, man. Even well, one thing, the no call. If I could change anything, it'd be that. You know what I mean?
That did not make the list, Terron. That did not make the 10 greatest games.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, outside of that, I have no regrets. And that's not a regret. That's just something that's like, I wish it would have went differently. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I had an amazing career for 12 years out of University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and wouldn't change a bit.
Yeah, that if we could change it, yeah, that we would like to change that one. I think everybody.
That's the only thing, man. Just a flag right there. It changes history.
Yeah. T, what was it like to be, I guess, that dominant? Because there were a couple of seasons where, you know, you guys could walk in the door in the spring and basically say the goal is, now everybody says the goal is to win the Super Bowl, but to legitimately say the goal is the Super Bowl, that's what we're thinking about. We're not thinking about getting to the playoffs. We're not talking about winning playoff games. We're talking about winning the Super Bowl and legitimately have that feel.
Yeah, no, it was great, man. Super Bowl or nothing. Like, that's what you're here for. That's what you play the game for. And I think the best thing that we did, like, even though that was the goal, Super Bowl, we were able to lock in on a weekly basis. And I think that Sean Payton superpower, him, Drew, like, they were able to, like, have big picture, but to be so nearsighted and focused on just this next game. Like, Sean was always, this next game is the most important game of our life because it's the next game. Like, literally, that's it. And we just lock in on that. So no matter who was on the schedule and we 11-2 or whatever, like, no chance to slip. We got to prepare the right way. We got to go out here and win every game. So it was great being in that time, like being in that window of football where you have that level of expectation. For me, because I don't want to play the game no other way. Like, I'm not going out here to lose, like, ever. That shit bothers me.
I want to ask you before we wrap up, and again, thank you for your time. Speak with Terron Armstead here. It started obviously with AK6. I'll ask you to describe him, or you know, like, when you look back and you reflect what it was like to play with him, and then reflect and look back at what it was like to play with Drew. And then I'll ask you one final question about the big place called the Dome. But about those two players, when you look back at them, they're 2 games in our top 10. What do you reflect on with them?
Just, man, amazement, really. Amazement. I'm a fan, like, genuinely a fan. I was a fan while in close proximity, like, really appreciate both of their games. Everything that they both do to prepare is uncommon, which is why they're uncommon players, like both Hall of Famers. AK coming in and he's sitting behind Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson is like, I didn't know AK was going to turn into AK. And Sean, he cuts AP or trade him. He cuts Adrian Peterson, and that's the birth of AK. And he's different. He floats. His vision is insane. His balance is insane. But the guy came in such a professional to be as young as he was in 2017, like 21 years old. He was such a professional about how he went about his craft, how he prepared, how he knew the playbook, how he knew protections and adjustments. The questions he asked us, what does this signal mean? What does that signal mean? Like, it was different from a rookie. Mm-hmm. And he was Rookie of the Year. And then for Drew, man, the way that Drew like if he had a like a 10-hour, I need 10 hours to prepare for this team to feel my best. If we played the Falcons in week 15 and played the Falcons in week 17, he would put them 10 hours in week 15 and week 17. Like he never skips steps. And it's hard to do for 18, 20 years to really like be so committed and to be so great at the same time. Like I'm Drew Brees. I know I can throw the ball. I know what on smash, I know what I'm looking for. Cover 2 or cover, you know what I mean? Like he knows that. He never skips steps. And that's the part that I appreciated the most.
Yeah, he's got the craziest recall I have ever seen from a human being. There's no game. Yeah, there's no game. There's no play that Drew can't remember every specific detail that he played.
I'm sure.
Which is crazy. So now I got to get myself out of this on this one. Still, fastest offensive lineman in combine history. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it does. It does, man. It's I mean, it's cool to have to talk about. Anytime you hold any place in NFL history is cool. It's dope. You know what I mean? Especially as a fan of the game, student of the game, grew up watching it. So anytime your name is somewhere positively in NFL history, it means a lot. It's an honor. I'm sure one day it'll be broken. These kids are getting bigger, faster, stronger. I just hope this is a good player, you know, somebody that had a long career. That's it.
That's crazy to look back and think about it when you were just saying this too, man. It just seems like yesterday you just started, you know, you look the same. That's a good thing. It looks the same. Look, let's close up on this. As we said, we're looking back and reflecting 50 years. What was it like to play in a dome? Obviously in your career, you've played a lot of different places. You've played in big games, big moments, loud crowds, all of that. What separates the Caesars Superdome? What made it special? If you close your eyes, what do you remember?
That place was so special to me, bro. I mean, not was like it is special to me, but like I really genuinely enjoyed the dome. Like it was just it was so much history in it. It was so symbolic. It's so symbolic to the city. So like, no matter who you talking to, a common fan, no matter where you are, like if you bring up the dome, they have a story of something that relates to their family or their experience. They have a story of like what the dome did to them or provided for them or meant to them. I can't say that you can get that from all the other stadiums and all the other places around the country. So just being there, and I always describe the feeling of like a night game is just like electricity. It's like some type of electricity just flowing through your body that they cut the lights out and then it's different. It's hard to explain. It was the best place in the league to play. Like during that window when we were kicking some ass, it was a special place. And it gets me excited to even talk about.
So how crazy is it that it has basically withstood the test of time? Because you see, you know, everybody, or not everybody, but just about every NFL team has had a new stadium constructed, but the Superdome is still the Superdome.
Superdome is like exactly where it needs to be. It's like that's it. It's no, you can't move it to Slidell, you can't move it to the West Bank. Like it's exactly where it needs to be because it's in the heart. You feel me? And that's a New Orleans thing. It's in the heart of the city. It's in the heart of the people of the city because of what it stood for and what it has done. It's exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah. You can see it from anywhere, including if you're coming from the North Shore. There it is, man. The horizon is the weirdest thing, right? The lake's here,
Facts.
and then the city's down there.
Facts.
It's so weird being below sea level, man. But look, man, thank you for taking a little time and reflecting back. You look great. You look like we could still use you over there, man. But that's good. Enjoy, I guess, retirement. But I got an 8-year-old, and you're coaching and doing little kid stuff too as well, and traveling. So we're still busy being dads, man.
No, for sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Rolling around with these kids. Getting them right, getting their technique right.
You know, you got the twins playing basketball and that, man. Look, we remember when those girls were like babies.
Yeah, they'll be 13 this year, bro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's a beautiful thing.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Hey, man, for sure. Appreciate, again, the time, and thanks for kind of going back and looking back at Alvin Kamara's 6 TD game back on December 30th, 2020, just a few years ago, man. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Terron Armstead. Thank you.
Sir, appreciate you guys.
All right, Alvin, it's Christmas Day. I remember the shoes, but I also remember not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 touchdowns.
I should have had 7, really.
Should have had 7.
Yeah, if we're really talking.
Is that what you remember about the issue?
Nah, it was special nonetheless. It was cool, but yeah.
You know, I've seen 2, 3, 4 NFL records set in the Superdome. You know, Drew with the consecutive touchdown passes in games. Drew with the overall touchdowns. We saw another Saints record, but that was on the road. Mike T with the receptions in a season.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about 6 touchdowns in a game, I think they had to go back to the 1940s or something
back.
crazy.
It was back.
That you just don't see. Was there any point in that game where you said, you know what, I can score whenever I want to?
Yeah, I felt like that. Like, I don't know. I'm very big into routine. So like, usually I know when I'm feeling super good in warm-ups. Like right when I come out, I always come out and do my little warm-up. I always know when I'm feeling good. So that day I just felt good. Like I felt great. I feel like the vibes was good. I think everybody felt great. And the energy in the locker room was cool. Sean was on point. Like he was, Sean just talking a whole bunch. Like he was real talkative and he had a lot of energy. He was cracking jokes. So I'm like, all right, cool. It's going to be a good day. So, man, it just like I don't know. I just knew. Like I just had a good feeling. And especially like I said with Sean on the sideline, he was like, "I'm gonna keep giving you the ball." I'm like, "All right, let's go." I was like, "So it's up to me now."
See, the crazy thing is he didn't have to give it to you a lot. 155 rushing yards, 22 carries, and 6 of those were touchdowns. That I calculated. That's 27% rate. 1 out of every 4 times you touched the ball, you went to the end zone.
Yeah.
That's insane. I've never seen any. I mean, even when guys score 4 or 5 touchdowns, they got to carry it 35, 40 times sometimes.
Dalvin, I think Dalvin had like 4. How many? Dalvin had like 4 touchdowns that day. Because I was scoring and then he'll score. I'm like, damn, all right, we're going back.
But it's like 22K, and it was like, because I mean, it got to a point where we were sitting in the press box, and it's like, all right, give it to him. Give it to him. Because, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, okay, we got a chance for some history here.
Yeah.
What's the record? Let somebody look it up. All right, he close. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you guys know on the sideline? When did you know on the sideline?
I got to 3, and then Doug's on the sideline.
Yeah.
I think he came and told me, he was like, the record is 6. And I'm like, dang, okay, cool. I don't really go too far into like the history of things like that. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So then everybody started talking about it on the sideline. I was like, bro, we got to get 6. And then Sean was like, we're going to get it. Let's go. I'm going to keep giving you the rock. I'm like, all right, give it to me. So, at that point, like, I'm still playing. I'm feeling good. So I'm like, I'm just trying to have a big game, period. 6 touchdowns, whatever it is, I don't care. So everybody like sees in them, they like, bro, we gotta go. We gonna get 6. Then E and Emmanuel Sanders, he like, man, we gotta get you to 6. Everybody, and then then me and Drew talking, and he's like, you gonna get it? And he's like, everybody's trying to figure out like what's the celebration gonna be. And I'm like, man, I don't know. So it started spreading on the sideline after Doug kind of told me, and I was just like, all right, cool, we got an opportunity. If it happen, it happened. If it don't, it don't. It is what it is.
That's funny that
it
celebration
like,
was.
now everybody's talking about it, but Terron like went out and made, because Terron was like the bouncer in the club.
Yeah, T.A. was on it.
That was as dominant a performance.
It hyped Terron up for real. Once he found out, he was like, oh no, we let's go. I'm like, all right, T.A. I'm like, look, we just keep doing what we doing. Let's go. He's like, nah, we getting that.
Yeah, he almost ran my man into the stands.
Oh yeah, he ran him all the way. He ran him back to the locker room.
Yeah. So and you're not a guy who's big in the individual stuff like that.
Yeah.
But after that game, did you get a sense of accomplishment? Were you like, you know what, dang, that in NFL history, this has only been done like once or twice.
So really, it was more cool for me, like, because of the people involved. Like, like you said, Terron and like just everybody, all the parties involved. I wasn't like excited for myself, like, oh, I just got the record. I was like, dang, everybody kind of shared that with me. Like, even when I had 5, and you remember Sean gave Taysom a touchdown on the goal line.
That was when we were like, oh, he ain't
yeah.
make that.
So like I'll never forget Emmanuel Sanders. He cussed Sean out on the sideline. He's like, man, what? You know we need 6 touchdowns, bro. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. So I'm like, man, I'm not tripping. I'm just like, man, it is what it is. Like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So then you remember Troutman caught that ball, went down the sideline. He gets tackled on like the 1. Mm-hmm. So then they like, oh, he got to give it to him. Sean got to give it to him. So then we come in, run the outside zone, and I get in, obviously. But man, it was just crazy. It was more. I think it was just more exciting for everybody to be involved. Like Drew, he was in on it. He like, man, we got to get the celebration. So I'm like, man, we just gonna get in and do snow angels. I don't know. Yeah. And then like even the defensive guys were hype about it. Like everybody was just hype. So it was more meaningful for me that like my teammates cared so much, and then obviously it's big for me to have that. Like it's gonna be in the record books, but it was more the experience of like everybody around me.
Okay, the shoes, because you got fined for the shoes.
Of course.
Did the NFL ask for those shoes?
Of course. They asked for the uniform, the shoes, the helmet.
How do you find a dude and then ask for his shoes?
Yeah, I told them they had to pay me for it, and they didn't want to do it. So it's sitting in my uncle's house in his basement.
Your shoes?
Yeah, the shoes, the whole uniform, the helmet, the shoes, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The fine letter, everything.
You gonna frame the letter?
I take a little jab every now and then. I take a picture and post it on social media. Like, here it goes. But I mean, none of my stuff. My personal like accolades, everything, and I need to be better about this. Like my brother, all my people tell me, like my friends, everything. Like they'll come to my house and they'll open like a random door and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my Rookie of the Year trophy, bro. Just move it or something." And they're like, "Bro, why don't you put all this stuff up?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm just like I'm in it right now. I'm still going. Like I don't sit and like." Oh, wow, look, I won Rookie of the Year. Oh, I had these 6. I'm just trying to keep going and be better than the last year. So, I don't know. I think I've gotten a little bit better about, sitting back and being like, dang, I did accomplish a lot. But I'm still in it. I ain't done, so.
Yeah, but, man, that was, it was just crazy. It was just, it's Christmas Day. And look, and I'll be frank, nobody don't want to work on Christmas Day.
Of course not. Nobody. We got to click in and out of that fast. Yeah. It's like, okay, it's Christmas, all right.
I mean, nobody want to work on Christmas Day. But if you got to work on Christmas Day.
You got to work.
Then that's the way to work on Christmas Day.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really stood out to me when we were talking with Terron, and he talked about it too. Because I asked him, whether it's baseball or basketball, you hear the term zone.
Yeah.
And obviously, you feel like you're in a zone. You said when you're working. And I asked him, how's it as an offensive lineman? How did you know that? And I just finished cutting your highlights, looking at it that game, and I mean, Ryan Ramchek's crushing people.
Oh no, it was
you were running in the back.
Yeah, everybody.
That's what I'm saying. It's so
we're just
crazy.
Feeding off each other.
Yeah,
feeding off each other for sure. Because I think, like I said, I felt like everybody felt good, and Sean had a way of like. Especially those games, like the days, like you said, nobody wants to work on Christmas, but those are the times where it's like, man, we got to go. Like, it is what it is. Nobody feels sorry for you. We working on Christmas, it is what it is. So I think everybody kind of had that mindset of like, man, if we gonna work on Christmas, we got to put on. Like, let's go. So I was feeding off that O-line, and them guys they played amazing that game. And then I was just like I said, I felt good, so I was just feeding. I think we was all feeding off each other. And then Sean had his energy too, so we was feeding off that.
You know what was crazy? Something he brought up too when we were talking with Terron. That wasn't like a blowout game by 40, 50 points. Like, it was scoring too.
Yeah,
like,
it was a game.
You needed all 6 of your touchdowns.
Yeah, it was a game. It was definitely a game. So that's what kind of made it even cooler because I think even the runs that weren't touchdowns, it was like there was a lot of good runs in there where it was like, man, we working. Like it was a game the whole time. We trying to win.
Yeah, well, it was about 7 yards a carry. So I mean, that was. I mean, and the longest touchdown I think was 40. Yeah. But everything else was like, Alvin on the goal line 10, and the dude with the nose for the goal line. And speaking of which, you do have a nose for the goal line. Now, obviously, you're the franchise leader in touchdown scored, and rushing touchdowns and touchdown scored. What is your frame of mind when you get to the goal line? Because you can power in when you need to. You can get skinny when you need to. You'll go over. I mean, you figure out ways to get in.
I ain't gonna lie. Like literally, and it's gonna sound so simple, and it's really more complicated than it is. I really just don't want to get touched. Like I don't like
that's
getting
complicated.
touched. I don't like getting dirty, and I don't like getting touched.
That's complicated.
I mean, that's like the elementary version of that, and then obviously, there's the skill that goes into it, knowing, kind of where everything is at, and reading blocks, and just knowing when to turn the gas on, when to kind of tempo, when to, just let things develop. So it's a combination of a few things.
Where's the balance come from? Because have you always had that? Because you see people dropping cats, and you see cats will figure out a way to get on their feet.
Yeah,
you don't come off your feet very easily. Has that always been?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it has been there always, but
because we see the workout videos, and you do some crazy stuff.
So I think realizing that was kind of a God-given talent, and then being like, okay, well, I'm not just gonna rely on the God-given. I'm gonna add to it. I'm gonna multiply this. So just training specifically for those things: stronger core, stronger, from bottom to top, from the floor to up, like just ankle, feet, everything, like all the way up. So all the little muscles, the stabilizers, and everything that help you to achieve that type of balance. Like that's kind of like the big things I do in the off season.
When you come into the NFL, do you come into the NFL and say, I'm going to be this or that? I will be the leading rusher in franchise history. I will be this. Or do you just come in and say, okay, we're going to squeeze everything we can out of this, and then what happens.
I came in because, I had a journey to get here. So I came in and I was like, wherever I go, I'm a ball. I don't care. Wherever I end up, it's just about ball. So with me, I never really have goals like, I want to get. Like everybody always talks about the 1,000 yards. I've never went into a season and be like, I'm gonna get 1,000 yards. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Stuff happens. I've never came into a season and be like, I'm gonna score 20 touchdowns, or I'm gonna get 6 touchdowns this game and break the NFL record. Like I've never done that. Like I've always just been kind of trying to surpass what I feel like is sufficient. Right? So like it just week to week. Like, man, I might have had a good game in everybody else's eyes, but to me, I'm like, nah, that's not enough. Like, I could have had another touchdown, or I could have had X amount more yards. So next week, I got to find a way to pull those yards up out of that, out of my performance, or pull those more touchdowns out of this performance. So, and then you look at that, and just from week to week, and then you go year to year. It's like, last year wasn't good enough. Like, I gotta go. Like I gotta hustle. So I don't know. It's just like really just policing myself and not really setting specific goals, because I think sometimes like when you set those goals like that, like I want to get 1,500 yards rushing and 30 touchdowns, like you're chasing that specific goal, and then it's kind of hard to enjoy, like because if you go into a game and some games you might have. I done had games where I had 30 yards rushing. Yeah. So if I'm looking at if I'm breaking it down, because then now you got to do math. You got 17 games. If you just say you get 100 yards a game, that's 1,700 yards. So whatever that is to get 1,000 yards, I got to hit 65.5 yards every game to get it. And if you have a game that's at 20, now next game you got to. Yeah. I got to add those yards that I can get from that game and add it to this game. So I try not to do that, because I don't live my regular life like that, man. Like I just try to let things come to me, and not without work, of course, but you just gotta enjoy it and work. As long as you work hard, man, it'll happen.
So now I got to get petty for a second. Do you realize you're the man who ended Adrian Peterson's Saints career? I'm sorry, AD. I'm sorry.
That's my boy.
Dude got the strongest handshake.
Yes and no.
Oh my God.
Yes and no. Yeah, he do actually. Yes and no, because technically Sean and Mickey made that call.
Okay. All right. That's correct.
I didn't know what I didn't know yet. I'm playing football. I'm like rookie year, Alvin. I'm here with Mark Ingram, Adrian Peterson. It's like, damn, I'm just here. Like, so, I'm just playing ball. I think after that Carolina game, JT calls me. He like, all right, let's go. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's up? He like, Adrian's gone. He's like, it's time. Let's go. I'm like, shit. I hung up with him. I called Mark. I said, hey. He like, yeah. He called me. He just told me. I'm like, bro. I was like, bro, please help me. I was like, help me. He's like, bro, we good. He's like, just ball. I got you. And I called Terron. I'm like, TA. I'm like, bro. He's like, yeah. He said, it's time. Shoot. He was like, it's a good thing. I'm like, yeah, but dang. Like, I just got here, bro. I'm trying to figure it out still. Called Ted again, same thing. I'm like, hey, bro. He like, you know, because Ted, it was his first year in the offense too. So he like, man, I'm with you. Me and you both trying to figure it out. So like that whole year was just, man, crazy learning experience. Like, I mean, what better people to be with than Drew and Sean and, you know, Mark and like guys like that. You talk about like the B. Coles, you got Max Unger, got Cindy. Like, it's so many guys on that team that I can like say like, man, they helped me through that year because I ain't know nothing. I don't think I started playing football like freely until probably like the last 3 games.
So now, was that the offense? Was that complicated, or you just trying to?
It wasn't that it was complicated. It was just like playing in college and high school. Yeah, okay, you good. Like, I'm better than everybody, whatever.
Yeah.
You get to the NFL, there's so many intricacies in the game that you have to experience to know. Like, there was so much that I was learning every game, and it wasn't like, okay, run, catch, block, hit. Like, it was like, okay, well, this protection, I can make this protection easier by eliminating this side of the field instead of looking back and forth until he says HUD, and then I'm just like everything's coming at me at once, and I'm damn near I got to guess.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I'll just say the game just slowed down for me. It took a while for it to slow down for me and for me to actually play the game instead of like kind of tense and like, okay, well, I know I got this, but do I really got this? Or I know what play this is, but is this the right play? And I think like working with Drew and working with Sean, it just helped me so much because they were so sure of themselves. And even when they got it wrong, or not even really got it wrong, even when they were so sure of something and it didn't work out quite like they wanted it, it was like, shoot, all right, that's on me. Let's go to the next. So, you know, I really adopted that mindset of like, man, let's go. Like, know your stuff, and if it don't work, on to the next.
You mentioned it slowing down. How slow is it now? Because I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but I was like, Alvin never seems like he's sprinting. He glides.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you describe your running style as? Because you never look like you're working hard.
Yeah.
But you got to be working hard, obviously. But it never looks that way.
It's really slow for me now. I mean, you played 8 years of football. Like, I feel like I understand offenses. I understand defenses. I understand what defenses are trying to do to me, and I understand what we're trying to accomplish on offense. As far as, you know, situational, just the whole 9 yards. So I think all my work is really done. A lot of my work is really done before the ball is even snapped. So I'm just looking around, analyzing, and I can kind of see things take form before the snap. So, you know, I think the rest is just physical. And I tell people, it's like, man, this game is 90% mental and 10% physical for me.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, analyzing the game, whatever it is, like, that's why I always stay so even, because I feel like I have to be in a mindset to where I can see things for what they are. You know, and that's what, you know, I tell a lot of young guys, I'm like, man, try not to think so much. I know it's easier said than done, but try not to think so much. Like, sometimes you might need to mess up. You know, like, and I mess up still to this day. Like, I still mess up, but, you know, I use those opportunities as growing opportunities, because, I mean, if you're doing it right, those I wouldn't call them failures, but those mess ups, you know, those turn into like scars in your brain. It's like, okay, well, that's not the right way to do it. I got to do it this way, right? So, I just like to. I don't know. My process is very slow and clean and fluid, because, I mean, that's just the way I feel like my thought process is the way my game looks. It's just smooth, calm, like collected, not forced, not anxious. Whereas I think if you watch my rookie, if you listen to what I'm saying and then watch me my rookie year and watch me now, you'll see where I'm talking about. Where I'm like, my rookie year, I was like, I didn't know what I didn't know. I was trying to figure it out, and still made plays, was still balling, but man, it was just a lot that I've learned and been able to, like I said, slow down to help.
That Christmas Day game in 20, was that a COVID game? No fans?
That was a COVID game.
Yeah, that was a COVID game. I guess by then we might have had 300 fans or whatever it was.
COVID was an interesting time for all athletes.
Yeah, because that almost feels like, I mean, these fans love you, love you. So is it kind of like, on one hand, it was a great accomplishment, but on the other hand, it's almost cheating because I can't imagine what the Superdome would have been if it would have been capacity with crazy. That kind of game.
Yeah, it would have been crazy. I think I got a lot of love. I mean, obviously, in person, everybody always like, man, that 6 touchdown game. Like the people that were there, and then just the people that watched. Like, so I think it's. They feel like they was there regardless. Even people that don't go to games every Sunday, they still feel like, man, I was there. I was on my couch, but I was there. I was with you. So, I mean, it's still a shared experience.
I guess, but my thing to close up, man, is just it's interesting listening to you. It's almost like we circle back to as to why you maybe enjoyed it so much collectively with the rest of your teammates, because so many of you guys kind of did it all together, right? You're from your rookie year to this point. Yeah. That game clinched the 4th straight NFC South Division title. So all of the accolades, all of the records being broken, things of that nature, they were also part of winning. Yeah. And ever since I've covered you, since you've been here, that's your number one thing. So I guess that's 100%. Why all of that maybe was so enjoyable, because you guys helped you that day when you found out you're the starting running back and all this stuff. And, oh, by the way, now we're hanging a banner because of that win. I think all that probably makes it even more special and maybe understands what – that group at that time, man, was doing.
Yeah, it was a lot going on, and I think, those type of like feelings and emotions like throughout, from game one throughout a whole season, like you kind of bank those type of things, like because you never forget what it feels like to lose, but you definitely don't forget like what it feels like to win. At the same time, like winning, you'll never forget. You know that feeling. You know what it feels like, and I talk about it all the time. Like especially the past 3 years, like what it feels like when it's right. Yeah. So when it's wrong, it's easy to point out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so those times where we were winning and we were hitting on all cylinders, man. It was so much going on that like shaped me like as an athlete, but also like it just I carry a lot of that stuff when I'm doing other things off the field, because I mean, there's so much that kind of correlates with life and football, and it sounds cliche, but there is. So that during that time, and even now, like it's just it. I've always said it like whatever I can do to help the team win, that's what I want to do, right? So throughout that time, especially when we talking about that game, it was just one of those things where everything was clicking, and it's like, man, I'm doing as much as I can to help this team win, to etch some more things into history books. We hung another banner. Like we trying to make a run to go win the Super Bowl, obviously. So it's just a lot, And I think about more of those things than I do the personal things of like, oh, I want to be a Pro Bowler, or I want to be all pro. I'm like, man, I want everybody to experience what it feels like to win, to be on point, to know what it feels like to be a team and like work towards a common goal, because that's what all this is about at the end of the day.
If you hadn't got the 6th one, this is my last one. If you hadn't got the 6th one, would you have been like, you know what, right there, and didn't get it?
Nah, I think Emmanuel Sanders would have been more pissed at me. Email would have been more pissed at me for sure. I was just laughing. Like, even when he put Taysom in to go get the time, I was just laughing. I was like, man, it's good. Like, at that point, I was like taking off my gloves because I'm like, we good. Like, it's all right, bro. Like, I'm good. Like, we won, thank God. That's all I was thinking about the next week. Like, what we got the next week? Like, what we got to do? So, yeah, I don't think I would have felt anyway, because I didn't go into the game like, that record, that 6 touchdown record, I got to go get that. Or, I never I never came into New Orleans or, this building and was like, yep, one day that, I'm gonna get Mark Ingram's record, or I'm gonna be the touchdown. I never thought about those things. I just was, just chasing what I envision greatness to be, which is like, okay, I got to be better than the version of myself last year that I put out there. Like, everybody's saying that was good, but I got something in my head. Like, I know where my ceiling is, and I gotta break through the ceiling. So every year I'm just try to keep going up a floor, like adding a floor to this, whatever it is, this building, skyscraper, whatever, until it's complete, until it's done.
Ernie Nevers, 1929. That's the man you tied on Christmas Day with 6 touchdowns, Mr. Alvin Kamara. Thank you so much for your time and
no doubt.
Kind of going back and just taking us back through that day.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you.
Our thanks to Terron and Alvin for giving us a little time to go back and think about that. You know, JD, we've seen so many games in this Caesars Superdome that are pretty, right? I mean, and not just by Saints players, by opposing players. I mean, the game that Manning threw touchdowns, the game with Breeze and Eli Manning, both of them just airing it out, Saints versus Giants, and all these beautiful passes that we've seen from Drew back in the day and all other quarterbacks. But there's just something about ground and pound, isn't there? I mean, it just really is. I mean,
Look, offensive linemen love nothing better than that.
It just really is.
And even through the test of time, I mean, it's one of those NFL records. Like, Drew had set the NFL record for passing touchdowns total, and has since been surpassed. It's going to take some work to get another guy to get 6 touchdowns. I know he equaled the record, 6 rushing touchdowns, but it's going to take some work because the NFL just isn't that kind of league anymore. Where you run that much. Now, it might, everything goes in a cycle. At some point,
sure,
the running game's going to come back and be, prominent, and it kind of started last year with Saquon Barkley. But even then, Saquon Barkley was not going to be a guy who's going to run for 6 touchdowns. You know why? Because when they get to the 2, they're going to go to the tush push, and Jalen Hurts is going to get 3 or 4 of those.
I kind of felt a little bit, and I know it's a few years down the line, right? But this game was in 2020. Last year, when the Saints had the start that they did, that game in Dallas, that had a feel. It wasn't as many, but you felt any time Alvin was touching the football, it was going to be a touchdown, whether it's a pass, whether it's a run, and even that one on that far end zone pylon, it just popped in my head. But that game at Dallas last year where the Saints start the season, they dropped 90 points on opponents. I mean, but that game against the Cowboys, I remember going, that's what that guy can bring, man.
It was quintessential Alvin because
he looked like he was jogging.
There was one time he runs into like a scrum, and the next thing you know, he pops out the backside and he's at the pylon, and it's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
What in the world did we just watch? It was like he turned into the wind and just evaporated, and he comes out on the other side. He can do those kinds of things. I mean, a couple of years ago against I think it was Green Bay in the Superdome, where he catches a swing pass and he dodges like 6 tackles, but it doesn't look like he's actually even sprinting.
Right.
He's jogging, and he's waiting for his blocks to set up. Eric McCoy runs down to set up a block for him.
That might have been one of the prettiest plays.
And Eric's sprinting out. He's out in front of Alvin. He's out running Alvin, and the DB just gets out of the way. Eric isn't even able to block the guy, but Alvin's just kind of gliding, and it's like, it's like. I wonder if it feels the way to him that it looks to us, like everything's in slow motion. Because you hear that about great players, everything just slowed down for me. That looks like Alvin's world. Everything looks like it's slow for him, but everybody else is looking at it and it's fast.
It's Matrix-like.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's Matrix-like, like in the movie where he sees a split second ahead of what's coming.
I mean, he glides.
Yeah.
It never looks like he's giving maximum effort. Now, of course he is. He's in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it never looks that way. He just looks cool all the time.
Yeah, it is very cool to see that here as well. Hopefully, we'll have some of these moments to talk about moving forward in this upcoming season. We hope you enjoy the conversations and hearing from Terron Armstead and Alvin Kamara. That's John DeShazier. I'm Gus Kattengell. You've been listening to Home Sweet Home, a New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Caesars New Orleans. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Home Sweet Home, a New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Caesars New Orleans.
Favre sprints to his right, throws back across the middle, and he's intercepted. Porter.
For the latest on the black and gold, check out NewOrleansSaints.com. And be sure to check out the New Orleans Saints podcast for the latest news from your favorite team.
Will he get it here? Yes! Touchdown pass, 5-4-0 in the 504.
We'll catch you next time on Home Sweet Home.